The practice review will occur once every 2 weeks with your WOD team or with a community of practices, and the idea will be to review every practices and questions that have been raised during those weeks. As a driver, you will need to share your screen with your WOD team and click on Start Now just there. Then you will go through every practices and questions that have been raised. Then you will allow every developer within your team to explain why they have identified those practices as positive or negative. For example, here, Andojo will explain to us why he thinks it's interesting to have a separate file with the fixture for each test. If everyone within the team validates this practice, we will click on Validate. And if you see that not everyone within the team agree with this practice and you need more time to add arguments for or against this practice, you can launch what we call a battle for this practice. Every developer within your team can then add some arguments for or against this practice, and you will see at the next practice review session in maybe 1 or 2 weeks if this practice needs to be validated or not. When you discuss about a question like this one, if at the end of this discussion you think that it's interesting to create a practice because you identify something interesting with your team, you can click on this button on the top right to select Practice Identification Mode. Then you can select some part of code directly there and create a practice with the WOD team at once. If at the end of the hour you didn't have the time to review every practices, you can click on End Review anyway, and then the practices that you didn't have the time to view will be there for the next session. If you have the AI activated, every practices that have been validated will pop directly within the IDE of every developers within your team.